John Mercer looked out the reinforced window of the International Deep-Sea Research Station. The dark waters of the Pacific Ocean surrounded them at a depth of 3,000 meters. Most humans would find the isolation terrifying, but John felt at home here. As the station's marine biologist, he spent his days studying creatures that evolved to survive crushing pressure and near-freezing temperatures. "John, you need to come to the command center right now," Lisa Daniels said through the intercom. Her voice had an unusual edge to it. John frowned. Lisa was not easily excited. As the station's chief engineer, she handled emergency situations with calm efficiency. They had been friends for 5 years, and he knew that tone meant something serious had happened. When John entered the command center, he found the entire crew gathered around the main screen. Commander Alan Wright stood at the front, his military posture rigid with tension. "What's going on?" John asked, joining Lisa near the back of the room. "Just watch," she whispered. The screen showed a live feed from a press conference at the United Nations headquarters in New York. The Secretary General stood at a podium looking pale and stunned. "Today, humanity has received undeniable proof that we are not alone in the universe," the Secretary General announced. "At 0600 hours this morning, a vessel of non-Earth origin entered our solar system and established communication with us." A murmur ran through the crew. John felt his heart rate increase. After years of searching the stars, wondering if anyone was out there, they finally had an answer. The visitors identify themselves as representatives of an organization called the Galactic Council. The Secretary General continued. "They have requested meetings with Earth's leaders to discuss our potential membership in their confederation of spacefaring species." "This has to be a joke," someone whispered. Commander Wright turned to face the crew. "It's not. The station just received direct orders from the Joint Chiefs. All deep-sea research stations are being put on high alert. We have special monitoring equipment here that might be useful if things go south." Dr. Samantha Powell, the station's medical officer, raised her hand. "What do they look like, the aliens?" "We don't know yet," Commander Wright replied. "They're maintaining orbit around the moon and have only communicated through audio and text messages so far. They've requested Earth to send representatives to their ship for initial talks." The screen changed to show a military general addressing the press. "The aliens have specifically stated they want civilian representatives with scientific backgrounds. They seem particularly interested in our adaptation capabilities." John felt Lisa's eyes on him. "What does that mean?" "Our adaptation capabilities." For the next 3 days, the crew of the research station monitored the situation from their underwater home. The aliens had sent detailed specifications for a shuttle that would transport Earth's representatives to their vessel. Nations around, the world argued about who to send. On the 4th day, Commander Wright called John and Lisa to his office. "I just got off a secure call with headquarters," he said, his expression unreadable. "They want both of you to represent Earth in the first face-to-face meeting." John blinked in surprise. "Us? Why?" The aliens reviewed personnel files from various research stations and science centers. They specifically requested people who have demonstrated extreme environmental adaptability. "You both have spent more continuous time in this high-pressure environment than anyone else on Earth. Your adaptive responses to this environment apparently impressed them." Lisa shook her head in disbelief. "That doesn't make sense. Astronauts would be better suited." "They specifically rejected astronauts," Commander Wright interrupted. "Said something about wanting people who adapt to natural Earth extremes, not artificial environments. You leave tomorrow." 24 hours later, John and Lisa sat inside a specially designed shuttle, climbing through Earth's atmosphere. Neither had spoken much since takeoff. What could you possibly say when heading to meet the first confirmed intelligent alien species? "Are you scared?" Lisa finally asked, as the blue sky darkened to black. John considered the question. "Not scared, exactly, just overwhelmed. Everything we know about life, about our place in the universe, is about to change." The shuttle docked with the alien vessel 6 hours later. The airlock cycled, and a door slid open. John stepped through first, followed closely by Lisa. They entered a large, circular room with soft blue lighting. The air smelled faintly of cinnamon and ozone. They were not alone. 5 beings stood on, the opposite side of the room. Each one looked completely different from the others. One had glistening scales and moved like liquid silver. Another floated a few inches above the ground, its transparent body pulsing with colored light. The tallest had 4 arms and skin like polished wood. The fourth looked almost human except for its completely black eyes and 6-fingered hands. The fifth resembled a collection of floating orbs connected by threads of energy. "Welcome," said the almost human one, its mouth not quite matching the English words. "We are the appointed representatives of the Galactic Council. I am Ambassador Zelthari." John tried to keep his voice steady. "I'm John Mercer, marine biologist. This is Lisa Daniels, engineer. We're honored to meet you." Ambassador Zelthari stepped forward, extending a hand in what appeared to be an attempt at a human handshake. John reached out slowly. When their hands touched, the ambassador jerked back with a sound between a hiss and a gasp. The other aliens moved quickly, surrounding their colleague. "I apologize," John said, confused. "Did I do something wrong?" The floating orbs rearranged themselves in what might have been agitation. "Your strength is unexpected," a mechanical voice translated. "You have injured Ambassador Zelthari." Lisa moved closer to John. "That's impossible. He barely touched him." After a hurried conversation in an unknown language, Ambassador Zelthari returned, one hand wrapped in a shimmering material. "No apology needed. This is why we approached your species with caution. You come from what we classify as a death world." "A what?" John asked. "A planet with environmental conditions lethal to most sentient species," the ambassador explained. "High gravity, extreme temperature variations, toxic atmosphere components, dangerous radiation levels, aggressive predators. Earth is one of the most hostile inhabited worlds we have encountered." The wooden-skinned alien spoke next, its voice deeper. "What amazes us is not just that you survive on such a planet, but that you thrive. Your physical density and strength are evidence of your harsh evolutionary path." John and Lisa exchanged glances. Earth had never seemed particularly hostile to them. "The Council has been observing Earth for decades," Ambassador Zelthari continued. "We stayed away because Death World species can be unpredictable. But your rapid technological advancement made contact necessary. We wish to invite Earth to join the Galactic Council as an observational member," the floating orbs announced. "However, there will be restrictions due to your classification as potentially dangerous." John felt a chill. They came from a death world. They were considered potentially dangerous. And now he understood why these aliens had wanted to meet people who adapted to extreme environments. They weren't impressed by their adaptability. They were afraid of it. 3 weeks had passed since the first contact meeting. John Mercer and Lisa Daniels now lived in specially prepared human quarters aboard the Galactic Council's diplomatic station. The room was comfortable but clearly designed with safety in mind. The door was reinforced and all furniture was bolted down as if they expected humans to rampage through the station. "They're treating us like wild animals," Lisa said as she looked out the viewport at the stars. Earth was visible as a small blue dot in the distance. John nodded. "Did you notice how they always keep their distance when talking to us? After that handshake incident, they think we might break them by accident." A soft chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal Ambassador Zelthari. The alien's hand had healed, but John noticed he kept it slightly behind his back when approaching. "I bring news," the ambassador said. "The Council has reached a decision regarding Earth's membership application." Lisa straightened. "And?" "There is disagreement among the Council members. Some see potential in your species, while others—" The ambassador hesitated. "Others believe Deathworlders are too unpredictable to join galactic society." "That's not fair," John said. "You can't judge us just because our planet has different conditions than yours." Ambassador Zelthari made a gesture that might have been agreement. "That is why I suggested a compromise. The Council has prepared a series of challenges to better understand human capabilities." "What kind of challenges?" Lisa asked, her engineer's curiosity evident. "Tests of physical endurance, problem-solving, and adaptability. If successful, Earth will gain full membership status without restrictions." John and Lisa exchanged glances. This was their chance to prove humans weren't just dangerous monsters from a harsh world. "We accept," John said. The next day they were joined by two more humans who had arrived from Earth. General Catherine Martinez, a military liaison with weathered skin and sharp eyes, and Professor Eric Bennett, a tall, thin xenobiologist who couldn't stop staring at the aliens in fascination. "The council chamber is this way," Ambassador Zelthari explained as he led the humans through wide corridors. "Council Elder Vostak will explain the challenges." The chamber was enormous, with seats arranged in rising tiers around a central platform. Hundreds of aliens from dozens of species watched the humans enter. Some leaned forward in curiosity, others moved back in apparent fear. Council Elder Vostak rose from a central position. Unlike the almost human Zelthari, Vostak resembled a mantis with iridescent wings folded behind a segmented body. When it spoke, its mandibles clicked rhythmically. "Humans of Earth," the translation device rendered in English, "your planet has been classified as a Class 12 death world due to its high gravity, atmospheric oxygen content, temperature extremes, and prevalence of predatory evolution. No council member species evolved in such conditions." General Martinez whispered to John, "They're afraid of us because Earth has seasons and big cats? Ridiculous." "To evaluate your species," Vostak continued, "you will face 3 challenges. First, environmental adaptation. Second, crisis response. Third, interspecies cooperation. You begin tomorrow." As they left the chamber, a small alien approached them. Unlike the others, this one showed no fear, instead examining them with obvious fascination. "I am Zixel," it introduced itself. "Junior scientist in xenobiology. I have studied Earth transmissions. Your ability to survive extreme conditions is remarkable." Professor Bennett smiled. "Earth doesn't seem extreme to us." "That is what makes you interesting," Zixel replied. "What you consider normal would kill most council species within minutes." The first challenge took place in a large environmental chamber. The 4 humans stood together as council scientists explained the test. "We will recreate atmospheric conditions from various council worlds," one explained. "Your task is simply to remain functional." The air in the chamber changed. It became thinner, similar to Earth's atmosphere at high mountain elevations. The humans breathed faster but remained standing. "Atmosphere of Nebulon Prime," announced the scientist. Most species would experience severe respiratory distress. The alien observers murmured in surprise. The test continued with gravity changes, temperature variations, and atmospheric compositions that would be challenging but survivable for humans. After each test, the observers' reactions grew more concerned. During a brief rest period, Lisa noticed something odd on a scientist's data pad. "John," she whispered, "these aren't just random tests. These are conditions from their home worlds. They're showing that we could survive on their planets while they couldn't survive on ours." The second challenge placed the humans in a simulated crisis scenario. A space station was losing life support, and they had to make repairs with unfamiliar tools while the environment deteriorated around them. General Martinez took command naturally, assigning tasks based on their skills. Professor Bennett analyzed the alien technology, Lisa worked on the engineering problems, and John applied his knowledge of closed biological systems to stabilize the air quality. They completed the task in half the expected time. "Impressive problem solving, under pressure," Ambassador Zelthari commented afterward. "But some council members find your military-style organization concerning." The third challenge proved most difficult. The humans were separated and each paired with aliens from different species to complete complex tasks requiring cooperation. John was paired with a liquid-like being that communicated through color changes on its surface. They struggled until John realized he could use simple hand signals that the alien could mimic with color patterns. Lisa worked with a spindly creature sensitive to vibrations. They developed a system of light taps on surfaces to coordinate their movements. When the challenges concluded, The humans returned to the council chamber for evaluation. Elder Vostak looked displeased, mandibles clicking rapidly. The humans have demonstrated concerning levels of adaptability, Vostak announced. They function in environments lethal to most species. They organize efficiently in crisis. And most disturbing, they quickly develop methods to cooperate with species completely unlike themselves. These are positive traits, Ambassador Zelthari countered. Traits that could benefit the Council. Or destroy it, Vostak replied. I propose additional testing under more extreme conditions. As the Council argued, Zixel approached the humans with a worried expression. Something is wrong, the young alien whispered. Elder Vostak should not be this concerned. There is a faction that fears Deathworlders because of something in our past. What do you mean? John asked. I accessed restricted archives after meeting you, Zixel admitted. Humans are not the first Deathworld species the Council has encountered. There are sealed records about others. Before Zixel could continue, alarms blared throughout the station. A voice announced, Warning. Life, support systems compromised, atmospheric containment failing in multiple sectors. Ambassador Zelthari rushed to the humans. The station is under attack. Someone has targeted the environmental controls. As panic spread among the council members, John realized this wasn't just another challenge. This was the real crisis they had been preparing for without knowing it. And based on the terror in the aliens' eyes, they were about to learn exactly what made Deathworlders so dangerous and so valuable. Chaos erupted in the council chamber as alarms continued to blare. The alien representatives panicked, some collapsing to the floor while others ran in confusion. Red emergency lights pulsed along the walls as a mechanical voice repeated, Critical atmosphere breach in sectors 3 through 7. Oxygen levels decreasing, temperature dropping. Ambassador Zelthari gripped John's arm. Our environmental controls have been sabotaged. The station is losing heat and atmosphere. John felt the air growing thinner, the temperature already noticeably colder. For the aliens, these changes were immediately life-threatening. For humans from Earth, a death world with temperature extremes and varying oxygen levels, they were uncomfortable but survivable. We need to reach the Environmental Control Center, Lisa said, her engineer's mind already working on solutions. General Martinez took command instantly. Bennett, stay with the council members who can't move. John and Lisa, come with me to fix the environmental systems. Ambassador, where is the control center? The ambassador pointed with a trembling hand. Level 4, Central Hub. But it's in the affected area. The atmosphere there will be too thin for you, not for us, John interrupted. We can handle it. As they left the chamber, they passed a security team led by a muscular human man. Peter Reyes, security chief for the Earth delegation. He introduced himself quickly. Just arrived yesterday. What's the situation? Martinez briefed him while they moved. Defend this chamber. Keep the council members safe. The corridors became increasingly cold as they approached the affected sectors. The few aliens they encountered were struggling to breathe, moving slowly, or already unconscious. The humans gathered them and carried them to safer areas. When they reached the sealed doors of Sector 3, Lisa checked the environment readings. Oxygen at 15% and dropping. Temperature near freezing. We can manage this. For how long? Martinez asked. Long enough, John replied, thinking of the deep sea dives he'd made in cold water with limited air supplies. They entered the failing sector. The air felt thin, like being on a high mountain. Their breath formed clouds in the frigid air. Most of the emergency lights had failed, leaving them in dim blue light from floor markers. Look, Lisa pointed to an alien security officer collapsed near a doorway. The being had crystalline skin that was developing frost patterns. They can't handle the cold at all. John checked the alien's vital signs using the techniques Zixel had taught him. Still alive, but barely. He lifted the officer over his shoulder. I'll get him to safety. You two go ahead. The control center was in worse condition. 3 maintenance workers lay unconscious at their stations. The main console sparked with electrical damage. Lisa immediately began examining the eye systems while Martinez moved the injured aliens away from the damaged equipment. The main atmospheric processors were sabotaged, Lisa reported. Someone overrode the safety protocols and vented most of the oxygen. Then they damaged the controls to prevent easy repair. Martinez rejoined her. Can you fix it? Yes, but it will take time. The backup systems are locked out. Time we don't have, Martinez warned. The ambassador said most species can only survive these conditions for 30 minutes maximum. Lisa's fingers flew over the alien controls. Then we'll have to improvise. John returned to find them working on a bypass system. He immediately joined in, using his knowledge of biological life support systems to help restore critical functions. We need to reroute emergency power to the heat exchangers, Lisa explained. Then manually override the oxygen recyclers. Martinez looked concerned. Those are in separate sections of the station. We'd need to split up. Then we split up, John said. They separated, each taking a different task. John headed to the oxygen recycling chambers, moving through corridors that grew increasingly cold and thin of air. Unlike the aliens, he could still function, though his lungs burned with each breath and his exposed skin ached from the cold. He found the recycling chamber and began the restart procedure. As he worked, he heard movement behind him. Turning, he saw a shadowy figure attempting to escape through a maintenance tunnel. Hey, he called out, giving chase. The figure moved with surprising speed despite the harsh conditions. John pushed himself harder, his Deathworld physiology giving him endurance the saboteur lacked. He caught up and tackled the figure to the floor. It was an alien he recognized from the council sessions, one of Council Security Director Kralvor's assistants. The alien hissed in a language John didn't understand, then reached for a weapon. John reacted faster. His muscles adapted to Earth's higher gravity, giving him speed and strength the alien couldn't match. He disarmed the saboteur and restrained him with a piece of cable from a damaged wall panel. I'll deal with you later, John said, returning to the oxygen system. He completed the restart and contacted Lisa. Oxygen recyclers back online. What's your status? Heat exchangers functioning at 60%, Lisa replied, her voice strained from the cold. It's enough to prevent freezing. Martinez has restored communications in the affected sectors. Within an hour, they had stabilized the station's life support enough for emergency crews to function. The saboteur was taken into custody, and medical teams attended to injured council members. In the aftermath, John, Lisa, and Martinez joined Ambassador Zelthari and Council Security Director Kralvor in a secure meeting room. The security recordings of the humans' actions during the crisis played on screens around them. Remarkable, Kralvor said, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. You functioned in conditions that would kill most species within minutes. And not just survived, you performed complex tasks and even captured the saboteur. Zelthari nodded. The conditions in the affected sectors were fatal to 17 council representatives despite our emergency response. Without your intervention, hundreds more would have died. The saboteur was one of your security team, Martinez pointed out. Why would they attack their own station? Kralvor's skin darkened with what John had learned was embarrassment. We have identified a faction within the council that strongly opposes Earth's membership. They believe Deathworlders are too dangerous to join galactic society. So they tried to prove it by creating a deadly situation? Lisa asked incredulously. I believe their plan was to damage the station enough to end the membership discussions, but not enough to cause fatalities, Kralvor explained. They underestimated how quickly conditions would deteriorate for non-Deathworld species. Ambassador Zelthari activated another screen, showing a recording from the council chamber. It showed Peter Reyes carrying 3 alien dignitaries at once, moving through the affected area to safety. Another clip showed John resuscitating an unconscious alien, using a breathing technique adapted from his deep-sea experience. These recordings have been shared throughout the Galactic Communication Network, Zelthari said. The narrative is changing. Instead of fearing Deathworlders, many now see humans as potential protectors. John shook his head in disbelief. All of this because we can handle a little cold and thin air? What is minor discomfort to you is deadly to us, Kralvor said simply. That is why some fear you, and why others now want your help. As the meeting concluded, a young alien entered urgently. John recognized Zixel, the curious scientist from earlier. Ambassador, Security Director, Zixel said breathlessly. I've discovered something in the archives. The sabotage wasn't just about preventing Earth's membership. It was about hiding the truth about the last Deathworlders the Council encountered. Kralvor's expression hardened. Those records are sealed by Council directive. What records? Martinez demanded. What other Deathworlder species? Zixel looked nervously between the humans and the Council officials. The Terothians, a species physiologically similar to humans who were encountered by the Council 50,000 years ago. What happened to them? John asked. Zixel hesitated before answering. They were exterminated by Council order. A heavy silence filled the room after Zixel's revelation. The humans stared at the Council officials in shock and growing anger. You exterminated an entire species, General Martinez finally said, her voice dangerously quiet. Council Security Director Kralvor's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. That was 50,000 years ago. None of us were alive then. But you knew about it, John said. You kept it secret while deciding whether to let us join the Council or not. Ambassador Zelthari stepped forward. Please understand, this information is restricted even from most Council members. I learned of it only recently myself. Lisa crossed her arms. We need to know everything. Now. Kralvor glanced at the ambassador, who nodded reluctantly. Very well, but not here. We need a secure location. They moved to a small shielded room deep within the station's core. The security director activated a projection system, showing star maps and ancient text. The Terothians evolved on a world similar to Earth, Kralvor explained. High gravity, oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere, extreme temperature variations. A death world by our standards. Images appeared of bipedal beings with thick limbs and broad chests, similar to human proportions but with gray-green skin and ridge-like features on their faces. Like humans, they were adaptable, resourceful, and physically stronger than most Council species, Zelthari added. When they discovered faster-than-light travel, they expanded rapidly. Too rapidly for the Council's comfort? Professor Bennett asked. Kralvor nodded. The Terothians were aggressive colonizers. They could settle worlds other species found uninhabitable. The Council of that era feared being overwhelmed. So they committed genocide, Martinez stated flatly. It was not that simple, Zelthari said. According to the records, the Terothians attacked first when the Council attempted to restrict their expansion. Zixel stepped forward. Ambassador, that is not what the sealed archives show. I found evidence the Council deliberately provoked the conflict. The young alien connected a small device to the projection system. New images appeared, ancient Council documents with sections highlighted. The Council tested the Terothians, just as they're testing humans now, Zixel explained. When they saw how dangerous Deathworlders could be, they decided to eliminate them before they became too powerful. John felt cold that had nothing to do with the station's recovering environmental systems. And now they're doing the same to us. No, Ambassador Zelthari insisted. The Council has changed. We recognize now that diversity makes us stronger. The incident yesterday proved that Deathworlders have qualities the galaxy needs. Some recognize that, Kralvor corrected. Others still fear what we don't understand. Lisa studied the ancient documents. There's more here. The Council didn't just eliminate the Terothians. They've been monitoring Earth for thousands of years, not decades like you claimed. Zixel pointed to another section of text. This suggests Earth was deliberately made more hostile through asteroid impacts and climate manipulation to slow human development. Professor Bennett's eyes widened. The dinosaur extinction event? The Ice Ages? You're saying those were engineered? Neither Kralvor nor Zelthari would meet their eyes. We need to warn Earth, Martinez said, standing abruptly. If there's a faction that destroyed one Deathworld species, they might try again with humans. Suddenly, the lights in the secure room flickered. The door sealed with a heavy thunk. "What's happening?" John demanded. Kralvor moved to a control panel. "Someone has locked down this section. We're trapped." Ambassador Zelthari's communication device activated, showing Council Elder Vostak's insectoid face. "Ambassador, you have betrayed the Council by revealing forbidden knowledge," Vostak said. "The humans cannot be allowed to leave with this information." "Elder Vostak, this is madness," Zelthari protested. "The humans saved hundreds of lives during the sabotage incident, which proves exactly how dangerous they are," Vostak replied. "Like the Tarothians, they will overwhelm us if given the chance. The containment field around that section will gradually remove all oxygen. A regrettable accident during repairs." The transmission ended. Kralvor checked the environmental controls. "He's right. Oxygen is being drained. In 2 hours, the atmosphere will be unbreathable even for humans." Martinez immediately began examining the sealed door while Lisa checked the environmental system. Panels. Bennett and Zixel gathered the historical data, downloading it to portable devices. John turned to Kralvor. "Are there any other exits?" "Maintenance tunnels," the security director replied. "But they'll be sealed as well, and they're barely large enough for our species, let alone humans." John thought for a moment. "What about the external hull? How far are we from the outer wall of the station?" Zelthari looked shocked. "The hull? It's about 50 meters through those sections, but opening it would decompress this entire area." "Not if we seal off this room first," John said, already moving, to examine the walls. "Lisa, could we use the maintenance tunnels to reach the hull, then cut through it to reach the docking bay?" Lisa considered this. "If we had cutting tools and emergency suits, maybe. But we'd need to move fast before the oxygen gets too low." Kralvor moved to a storage compartment and retrieved several devices. "These are emergency repair kits with plasma cutters, and we have atmosphere suits, though they're not designed for humans." "We'll make them work," Martinez said firmly. They quickly formed a plan. Kralvor and Zelthari would remain in the secure room with the downloaded evidence, as the tunnels were indeed too small for humans. The humans and Zixel would attempt to reach the docking bay through the hull. The maintenance tunnel was a tight squeeze. John, being the largest of the humans, had to force himself through sections designed for the smaller alien physiology. The emergency suits barely stretched over their frames, and they had to leave parts unfastened. "The atmosphere is already getting thinner," Bennett noted as they moved. "I can feel the difference." "Deathworld adaptability," Zixel said with what seemed like admiration. "Your species can detect atmospheric changes that ours would miss until too late." They reached the outer section near the hull. Lisa activated the plasma cutter, its blue flame bright in the dimly lit tunnel. "This will take time," she warned. "The hull is designed to withstand micrometeorite impacts." "Work in shifts," Martinez ordered. "Save your oxygen." As Lisa cut, John's mind raced. The Council had destroyed an entire species similar to humans, had monitored Earth for millennia, had possibly even engineered catastrophes to slow human development, and now a faction wanted to eliminate the human representatives to keep this secret. After nearly an hour of careful cutting, they created an opening large enough to pass through. Beyond was a maintenance corridor that led toward the docking bay. "Need to contact Earth," Martinez said as they moved through the corridor. "Warn them about this threat." "And tell them what?" Bennett asked. "That the advanced alien civilization we just met might want to destroy us?" "We tell them the truth," John replied. "That a faction of the Council fears Deathworlders because we can survive conditions they can't, and that we need to prepare in case they decide we're too dangerous to live." They reached the docking bay to find it guarded by security forces loyal to Elder Vostak. The guards weren't expecting an approach from the maintenance area, however, and the humans were able to surprise them. Martinez disabled 2 guards with quick strikes before they could react. John and Lisa secured the area while Bennett and Zixel reached the communication terminal. "There's a human ship docked in Bay 3, Zixel informed them. Captain Laura Simmons arrived with supplies just before the incident. John accessed the terminal. "I'm sending a message to the ship. We need to get to Earth with this evidence." As they prepared to move to the ship, more alarm systems activated throughout the station. A voice announced, "Warning, unknown vessel, Approaching. Weapon signature detected. All personnel to emergency stations. The main screen in the docking bay activated, showing a ship of unfamiliar design moving toward the station at high speed. That's not one of ours, Martinez said, studying the vessel. Zixel looked terrified. It's not Council either. That design, it's impossible. What is it? John demanded. A Harvester scout ship, the young alien whispered. From beyond the galactic rim. They haven't been seen in 10,000 years. The ship fired at the station. The entire structure shuddered under the impact. The Harvesters were thought to be extinct. Zixel continued, voice shaking. They consume all resources on planets they encounter. Even the Council fears them. As a second blast rocked the station, John realized that the revelation about the Yao Tarothian suddenly seemed much less important. A new threat had arrived, one that might make the difference between Deathworlders and the Council irrelevant, unless perhaps it was exactly what would prove why Deathworlders were needed after all. The Harvester scout ship fired a third blast at the station. Emergency systems wailed as sections began losing pressure. Council members and staff ran in panic toward escape pods and emergency shelters. We need to reach Captain Simmons's ship, General Martinez said, leading the group through the chaotic docking bay. A voice called out to them from across the bay. General, over here. A woman in an Earth Fleet uniform waved from the entrance of a sleek vessel. Captain Laura Simmons was tall with short blonde hair and the confident stance of someone used to command. The Earthship Defiant is ready for immediate launch, she reported as they approached. What's the situation? I'll brief you aboard, Martinez replied. We need to get out of here now. As they boarded, Zixel hesitated. I should find my research team. John placed a hand on the alien's shoulder. There's no time. We need your knowledge about the Harvesters. Once aboard, the Defiant detached from the station and moved to a safe distance. Through the viewports, they watched as the Harvester ship continued its assault. The Council station's defenses seemed ineffective against the advanced vessel. The Harvesters were believed to be just legends, Zixel explained as they gathered in the ship's command center. Ancient records speak of them appearing every few millennia from beyond known space, consuming resources and disappearing again. What do they want? Lisa asked. Everything, Zixel replied simply. They strip planets of all useful materials, including organic matter. They are particularly drawn to worlds with diverse biospheres. Captain Simmons studied the tactical display. Their ship is unlike anything in our database. Energy readings are off the charts. We need to warn Earth, John said. If these Harvesters target resource-rich worlds, Earth would be an ideal target. Professor Bennett finished. Martinez nodded grimly. Captain, set course for Earth maximum. Speed. Wait, Zixel interrupted. Look at the Harvester ship's movement pattern. It's not pursuing escaping vessels. It's specifically targeting certain sections of the station. They watched as the alien vessel precisely destroyed communications, arrays and weapons platforms while avoiding residential sections. They're disabling the station's ability to call for help or defend itself, Lisa observed. But why not destroy it completely? Bennett wondered. Zixel's eyes widened in realization. They're hunting. The ancient texts say Harvesters send scout ships first to assess resistance before the main fleet arrives. The communications system activated, showing Ambassador Zelthari's face. He had remained on the station with Kralvor. Humans, the Council's emergency session has confirmed Zixel's information, the ambassador said, his voice breaking up with interference. Long-range sensors detect more Harvester vessels approaching from the galactic rim. This is not an isolated incident. Ambassador, you need to evacuate, John urged. Too late for that, Zelthari replied calmly. Listen carefully. The Council has voted to request Earth's assistance. The vote was unanimous. Even Elder Vostak agreed. What changed his mind? Martinez asked. The Harvesters. The records show they appeared during the Tarothian conflict as well. With the Tarothians gone, the Council barely survived the last Harvester incursion. They've been feared ever since. The ambassador's image flickered. The Council is sending all data on Harvester technology and tactics to Earth. We believe Deathworlders may be our only hope. Your adaptability, your strength, your ability to survive in conditions others find lethal. These are the traits needed to fight the harvesters. The transmission cut off as another explosion rocked the station. Captain Simmons turned to her crew. Set course for Earth emergency speed. We need to deliver this information immediately. 3 days later, President Olivia Warren stood in the United Nations Emergency Council chamber. Representatives from every nation listened as John, Lisa, Martinez, and Bennett explained what they had learned about the Tarothians, the Council's deception, and now the harvester threat. The Galactic Council has provided technical specifications for defensive systems, President Warren said after hearing their report. They're already being implemented worldwide, but they've also requested something else: leadership. Admiral Frank Holloway, a veteran fleet commander with weathered features and calm eyes, stepped forward. The Council's military forces are retreating from the outer systems. The harvesters have already consumed 3 uninhabited planets. Their ships are designed for space conditions that the Council species find impossible to operate in: extreme radiation, vacuum exposure, and high-G maneuvers, conditions that humans from a death world can better withstand, John added. President Warren nodded. Which is why Admiral Holloway will lead a joint Earth Council defense force. They've provided ships. We're providing the crews. Lisa studied the technical specifications on a display. The harvester ships have one weakness: they generate extreme heat during their resource extraction process. Their cooling systems can't function in certain planetary atmospheres with high particulate content. Like a dust storm or volcanic ash, Bennett suggested. Exactly, Lisa confirmed. If we could lure them into such an environment. 2 weeks later, Admiral Holloway's fleet waited in the atmosphere of a volcanic moon orbiting a gas giant. The dense, ash-filled air would be lethal to most Council species without extensive protection, but the human crews managed with simple breathing apparatus. Harvester fleet approaching, reported the sensor operator aboard the flagship. 12 vessels matching the profile of resource extractors. Admiral Holloway gave the order. All ships hold position in the ash cloud. Wait for them to commit to their harvesting pattern. John and Lisa, now serving as special advisors, watched from the bridge as the alien ships approached the moon, unaware of the trap. They can't detect us through this atmosphere, Lisa said. Our heat signatures are masked by the volcanic activity. Harvester ships beginning resource extraction sequence, announced the tactical officer. Their cooling systems are activating. Now, ordered Holloway. The Earth fleet emerged from the ash clouds, targeting the overheating harvester vessels with weapons based on Council technology, but modified by humans to work in the harsh conditions. The battle was brief but decisive. Unable to cool their systems in the ash-choked atmosphere and caught by surprise, the harvester ships were destroyed or disabled one by one. As the last enemy vessel fell to the surface of the volcanic moon, a cheer went up from the fleet. It was the first victory against the seemingly unstoppable force. Admiral Holloway turned to John and Lisa. This was just a small group of their ships, but we've proven they can be beaten, and we've proven something else too. What's that? John asked. That Deathworlders evolved not as a galactic threat, but as its defenders, the Admiral replied. We can fight in conditions no other species can endure. We can adapt to challenges that would break others. 3 months later, John and Lisa stood in the newly constructed Galactic Defense Academy on Earth. Before them, training grounds stretched across harsh terrain, deserts, mountains, and simulated alien environments. Hundreds of cadets, both human and alien, trained together. The Council has officially reclassified Earth, Lisa said, reading from a communication device. We're no longer a death world. We're now classified as a guardian world. John watched as a young alien cadet struggled to lift equipment designed for Earth's gravity. A human cadet stopped to help, showing a modified technique. 50,000 years ago, the Tarothians might have saved the galaxy if they'd been given the chance, John said. Instead, fear led to their destruction, and the galaxy nearly fell to the harvesters. And now? Lisa asked. Now the galaxy understands what Deathworlders really are, John replied. Not monsters to be feared, but protectors who evolved in the harshest conditions to face the greatest threats. Across the solar system, Earth ships patrolled alongside Council vessels. On a dozen worlds, human advisors helped prepare defenses against the Harvester threat. The event that showed Deathworlders were the deadliest species in existence had changed the course of galactic history, not through conquest or destruction, but through the protection only they could provide. As a Council ship landed at the Academy to drop off new alien cadets, Ambassador Zelthari emerged and approached John and Lisa with a respectful bow. "Once we feared what made you different," the ambassador said. "Now we understand that the traits forged on your death world are exactly what the galaxy needs to survive." The deadliest species had become the galaxy's greatest hope.